All right. Good evening, y'all. Thank you for hopping on. I'm going to share my screen so we can go ahead and get started here. Oops. I think I shared the wrong one. Let's see. That's the right one. No, it doesn't like me to do this. All right. We're going to try again. Okay. Everybody should be able to see my screen now. Sorry, technical difficulties. So again, thank you for hopping on. If y'all don't know me, my name's Allison, and I am super excited to talk to y'all tonight about recruiting. That is one of the 4 pillars of Plexus, the series that we're going to be covering this month. And I get asked this all the time, so I love sharing it because people are always reaching out and going, well, what is it that you're doing? Like, how are you still, adding new people? How do you keep doing this? Because I've been with Plexus now for just a little over 7 years, and I'm still adding people every month. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of how you go about recruiting in different ways that is, different ways that well, I don't even know how I'm saying that part. I know how to recruit. I should know how to talk tonight. It's fine. So first thing, you're going to talk to new people every single day. Second thing, we're going to be following up. Super, super important. Third thing, posting on social media. That's kind of where it starts with new people. That's when they, are building trust with you and things like that. And the fourth thing is adding new friends. That can be in person, social media, all the things. So those are kind of the basics that we're going to cover. The first one is talking to new people every day. So there's a few things that I like to do. First of all, the Franks list. If you're not familiar with that, it's a good thing to do if you're new, if you've kind of been out of the loop, or maybe you just want a fresh start. Just stop and go, okay, I'm going to make a fresh list of people, your friends, relatives, acquaintances, neighbors, kids, like people who through your kids, and services like your hairdresser and your nail lady and your massage therapist and all that kind of stuff. So those are the people that you're thinking of when you're making a Franks list, and you're going to have new people adding to that list all the time. So that's just kind of a good place to start and to work off of, because it gives you some focus there. And the next thing you're going to do is you're going to be starting that conversation, right? You want to be talking to new people every single day. Talk to them about Plexus. And that doesn't mean you have to be in their face like, hey, let me just tell you all about Plexus. Like, they don't necessarily want that either, right? It might be something as simple as if you're sending a message online and you're like, this first script here, hey, Jackie, you came to mind today. I know you just had a new baby. I get how tired you are. I mean, I've done it 3 times and it was always tough. I wish I knew then what I know now. So I'm curious, has anyone ever shared Plexus with you? And it can be super simple. It doesn't have to be a whole long building relationship. You get lost in the relationship and then you're like, now I feel awkward bringing this up and I'm not really sure how to do it. People don't care if you have an agenda. They don't want you to have a hidden agenda. They want you to be genuine. They want you to be present. So that, for me, I've had 3 babies. I have 3 kids. It was always tough when they were new because I was always tired, right? And I do wish I knew then what I know now. So that's genuine. That's me connecting, and to move on and say, so I'm curious, like, has anyone ever shared Plexus with you? It's okay to have that agenda. It's okay to bring that up that way, because when you're being genuine, people aren't turned off by it. The second script I've got there is, hey, Lisa, I wanted to reach out because I read a testimony yesterday and you came to mind. I know you struggle with migraines and I'm just curious. Have you ever heard of Plexus? This may or may not be for you, and that's totally fine. But if I sent you some info to check out, would you take a look and tell me your thoughts? Taking all the pressure off of that person, right? Lisa's not going to be upset if you've already given her an out. It may or may not be for you. It's totally fine, because you're saying, like, if you don't want to hear about it, that's fine. So people don't feel that pressure, because they're understanding then that you're really looking out for their health, because that's what we're doing. So you've given them that out. And if she says, no, thank you, don't be emotionally attached to that outcome. don't worry about it. It's not about you. She's not saying, you're annoying, you're a terrible person, why did you reach out to me? She's not saying any of those things. She's just like, no thanks, or not right now, right? That's totally fine, not about you. So if you remove that emotional attachment, because all you're really coming from is a place of caring and a place of wanting to help your friend, right? So when you're focused on that, it's easier to kind of disconnect that emotional reaction of like, I can't believe she said no, right? She's not saying no to you, she's saying no to what you offered her, just like you would say no to a waitress who brought you dessert when you're full, right? Or brought a dessert menu when you're full. No thanks, no big deal. She didn't walk away and cry in the kitchen. So basically that kind of is, like I said, that gives them that out. And it's also kind of like the, if I do something for you, will you do something for me? Kind of, I scratch your back, you scratch mine, right? So the formula, and you can kind of use that for anything that you're reaching out about, like, hey, use their name. People like to hear their name. I'm really excited about this new thing, whether it's, my pink drink. I'm really excited about gut health because, and tell them what it is. Tell them what it is that it's done for them or for you. And I thought of you because, and tell them what made you think of them. Why did they come to mind? And I'm just curious, if I blank, would you blank? So that's a really good way to kind of end that. So you could use that formula and say, hey, Jenny, I'm really excited about this new gut health journey I'm on because it has completely changed my hormones. And I thought of you because I know we used to sit there and like have wine and chocolate and be like super annoyed with our PMS, right? And I'm just curious, like if I sent you some info, would you take a look at it and, let me know what your thoughts are? Super easy, right? That formula can be used in all sorts of scenarios. So, and it's genuine because you're telling them legitimate things, what you're excited about. You're telling them why you thought of them. So that's not salesy. That takes that kind of salesy feeling out of it. The scripted reach outs, when you don't put anything personal. Hey, so and so, I have a sale going on, and there's $10 off here, and there's this, and you can get this and this and this. And then they're like, oh, that's kind of salesy, right? Because you're just telling them what you have to offer. You're not sharing any personal information about why you thought of them. You're not sharing anything about why you're excited about anything. You're just telling them fact, fact, fact. And they're like, okay. And that doesn't really get you very far. So that if I blank, would you blank, that kind of takes that pressure off of them, right? And here's the thing. If they don't respond, I know I said don't be emotionally attached to the outcome, but if they don't respond, just assume they're busy, right? Everybody's busy. We're all busy all the time. So life may just have gotten the better of them, even if they wanted to respond and they just forgot. And they were like, "Oh, I'm going to go back and I'm going to reply to Jill later," and then they forget. And that doesn't mean anything bad about Jill. That just means their life was busy. So that moves on to the basic number 2, following up. If you do this consistently, you will be successful. That was something I was listening to on a call with Brittany Howard and Christina Williams, and they were talking about the vast majority of people, like in anything, it's not just Plexus, but any of these types of businesses, if you're consistently following up in any sales, anything, you will be successful. But you have to be genuine when you're doing it, because most people, they're not going to sign up right away, right? Every once in a while, we get like the person who gets really excited as soon as you tell them about Plexus, and they're like, oh my gosh, where do I sign up? But that is not the norm, not even a little bit. One of the people that I signed up this month, y'all, I've been talking to her, I think for 3 or 4 years. And I just keep, nicely bringing it up. As soon as she says something, I'm like, I can help you with that. I got you. You let me know when you're ready for a change and I will hook you up. And it can be just as simple as dropping it in a little conversation like that. But most people are not going to start right away. Most people wait, and it ends up being the average of 8 to 12 exposures before they make a purchase. So at some point, everybody's going to end up trying things, right? I mean, I've been victim to it too, where I've stopped following up with someone after a while, and sometimes they just fell out of my loop, but I just, they fell through a crack and I missed it. And then later I see them post something and they got a pink drink and I'm like, dang it. Because that's on me. I'm excited that they're feeling better, but I'm like, man, I wanted them to be on this journey with me, and it's on me for not continuing to follow up, and that's why they went with someone else later. So that's one of those things you want to be real careful about, that you're following up nicely and not being, pushy about it at all. You want to, again, still be genuine, but keep following up. A lot of people, when they're brand new, they get excited and they follow their instructions from their upline and they're like, okay, I'm going to make my list and I'm going to send out some messages. And they're like, yeah, I followed that advice. I feel pretty good about this. This is awesome. And then after 10 days or so, they might follow up a little bit, but then they get some feelings about it after that, right? They're like, I don't really want to do that. I don't want to be annoying. I don't want to feel sleazy or spammy. And they just, whoop, all right, I'm out. And they stop completely. So that right there is going to just open that door to somebody else who's going to continue to talk to that person about it. And 8 to 12 exposures later, they're probably going to purchase. They're going to jump in, but it's not going to be with someone who stops following up. So regardless of where you are right now, even if whether you've just begun or, if you've been in this for a long time, somebody always wants to be where you're at. Even if you're a senior ambassador and you have one person on your team, guess what? Somebody wants that first person on their team. So there's always somebody who wants to be where you're at. So you've got to continue to follow up about products, follow up about the opportunity, and you've got to have that high no tolerance, meaning it's not about you, right? When you're talking to people, you have to realize that it's not people saying like, oh no, I hate you, you're annoying. Like, it's not that, it's a timing issue. It's just that this was not the right time for them. You have to care more about the people that you're reaching out to than you do about how they might perceive you. Because if you know that you're coming from a place of love, a place of caring about them, about their health, and you're sure of that, then you're not going to focus on how you're perceived, because you just know that's where I'm coming from and I care about you. And that follow-up is showing that you care about these people, right? It's showing that you want them to feel better. So all of that, again, it's driven by your belief. It's driven by your belief in your products. It's driven by your belief in the business. Because if you really believe they need them, and if you really believe that this is going to help them with like their migraines or their fibromyalgia or, pooping better, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. If you really believe those things, then you shouldn't care more about what they think of you than you do about trying to help them, right? Because that's what it is. So what if you don't follow up? That tells people that you're not really very serious. It tells people that they might just kind of be a message, a number. They might not be that important. Does she really care if I feel better? If she asked me once and I said no, and then she just stopped talking to me about it, does she really care if I feel better? And you don't want to send that kind of message. So, and this is the same thing with the opportunity too, honestly. If any of this kind of stuff is a struggle for you, there's like a million trainings out there. We've all pushed through these same things. If we've been around Plexus for a while, we've dealt with all of these things. We've dealt with, people telling us no. We've dealt with, being inconsistent and trying to set up consistency. If you're struggling with time or organization or whatever, go on YouTube and look for videos. There's a million different training things out there. That's a whole nother topic, but there's a lot of stuff out there and there's a lot of help. So if you feel like there's something holding you back, reach out and let us help you for sure. Moving on to the third one. I'm gonna take a sip of my water here. So the third one is posting on social media. And sometimes you kind of tend to think of that, especially when you get started, as like, oh my gosh, this is my place to like just go out and tell everybody all about it. I'm so excited about Plexus and you don't want to be Plexus, 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 right? Your friends are your friends and they want to see you. The people that are following you, if you're, making friends on social media, whatever, if they're following you, they're interested in what you're doing. They might not just want to see plexus, right? So you have to be careful that you look at your wall as a storefront, and you want it to be more like, think boutique, think the one that you walk in and you're like, oh my gosh, this is really cool in here, I want to see what they've got, and everything looks neat, and oh, that wall of stuff over here, and oh, there's that over there. And that might be, oh look, oh, our kids are so cute, oh my gosh, look, she works out at the gym, oh, that's so cool, I love that, I do a lot of gardening too. Like, they're going to connect with you on those levels. And the difference of throwing plexus and graphics and all, things, I mean, we all find silly little things on Pinterest, right? And sometimes they're really funny little plexus graphics. Put those in your stories where they go away. But if you really want to, but if it's on your wall and you're putting those things on your wall, it tends to look like, for where I'm at, I'm in a beach town. So for where I'm at, it's like the Shark Attack store, right? Where it's like the kind of cheesy beachwear store where they're selling, 10 t-shirts for $5 or whatever. And it's, you kind of go in and you're like, yeah, I'm not really getting anything good in here. Like, it's kind of, okay, it's fine. Sometimes you find some things here and there, but on the whole, it's not boutique. It's not that kind of draw you in because you really are curious about all of it. And that's the vibe you want to be going for. So look at your wall as a storefront. And that's something that you can go back and like edit every month or so, go back and look at your storefront, look at your wall, see what's there, see what it looks like, make sure that you're, engaging, and kind of imagine you're a fresh set of eyes on that. And I gotta say, y'all, social media, this is so much easier than it would have been like years ago before social media. Because that was like knocking on doors and hosting parties all the time and doing cold calls and all the things that we can do with just a post. So we can reach so many people with just a post. So we can use it, but we have to use it effectively. Because your friends are going to buy things. Your friends are buying things like Randy was talking about. I think was that the mud water, Randy? And she like shared about mud water, and all of her friends were like, oh my gosh, I gotta try that mud water. I ordered some mud water. I ordered this, I ordered that. So your friends are buying it, whether you're selling it or not. Your friends are buying, but they don't want to be sold to. So you've got to figure out ways to tell the stories about what's going on in your life and incorporate Plexus. And that feels more natural and it looks more natural to them. And then they're following along because it's any kind of story, right? And facts are telling them information and stories are selling them without realizing it. It's not necessarily a story about how you're going to sell it. But if you're sharing your life and how Plexus works into it, that is going to bring them in and have them follow your journey and be interested in what you're doing. And then they will eventually make that purchase because we're going to reach out and we're going to follow up, right? So ask yourself also, if the people that are following you, like maybe they don't know you, do they have a reason to follow you? Are your posts adding value? And for those of you that are in Bob Heilig's training, he talks a lot about adding value. And that's basically like whatever you're passionate about and you're sharing, that is going to build trust with people because you're sharing about things that are going to help them. And they, even if they've never made a purchase from you, like you want to pour value into their life. And that can be something as simple as, let's say you've got you and your family playing a board game on a Friday night, right? And instead of posting that picture and just being like, oh, we played a board game on Friday, it was so fun, post something that's like, hey, here are 5 things that you can do on your next family night. Here are 5 ideas to reconnect as a family. That kind of stuff where it's gonna take a little bit more work. It's gonna take some more focus and some intentional time on like how you can make these more of a value added post, but that's something that builds trust with your audience. Christina Williams was talking about when she was reading Everyday Millionaire, and she was talking about, if you're teaching yourself, you have something to teach other people, right? So she was like, I'm just going to read Everyday Millionaire. So she read a chapter and then she would get online and make a little video like, holy cow, y'all, this is the best book ever. And he said this and he said that, and this is so cool. And she would share what stood out to her in that chapter and how she related to it and like why it was impactful for her. It wasn't even her own information, so it was super easy to do. And that was valuable information. She said people were like right and left, like, oh my gosh, I bought that book. Oh, thank you so much. I love that book. And that's a real easy way. Like a lot of people kind of feel like they don't know how to start adding any kind of value to their audience without, trying to get them to order Plexus or whatever. They're like, I don't really know what I'm adding. Well, are you doing the growth yourself? So add to yourself, and then inevitably you're like, oh my gosh, that's really cool. Share it, because guaranteed you're not the only one feeling that way. And that helps people feel connected to you and feel understood. And then they trust you. And that's where they're making these purchases. So your storefront is a great place to, use the ease, the educate, entertain, empower. So you want to be taking people on that journey with you, whatever it is. If it's reading a book, take them on the journey with you. If you're learning something new, like for me, I'm going to be kind of gearing my page more toward like homesteading and gardening and eventually being a chicken mom, because we're getting ready to do all that stuff and I'm super excited about it. And I know nothing. So I'm gonna be taking people on there and I'm gonna be laughing at myself when I screw stuff up, and I'm gonna be sharing victories and all the things. So that's the kind of stuff that people will follow along, whether they're doing it right then or not. They don't necessarily have to have chickens to follow people who have chickens. Sometimes it's just fun and interesting, right? So if you're doing that, you are taking people along with you, and that works with Plexus as well. It's a great reason for posting when you first start, because you're giving them that like little kind of hook of like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I just placed this order and I'm getting some stuff and I'm super, super excited to get going on this journey. I'm looking forward to more energy and better sleep. And who wants to do this with me? A lot of people make that kind of post, right? But then they don't continue to post. They don't continue that relationship so that people will follow along and see what's happening. But if a couple days later you're like, oh my gosh, I got my stuff and I had my first pink drink and I didn't feel tired this afternoon. Woohoo! People are like, huh, okay. A couple days later, you might be like, I had the best night of sleep I have had in forever. I forgot what it felt like to wake up rested. Wow. Super easy, right? And so as you're making these posts, people are interested and they're following along and they're like, well, what the heck is she going to say next? They want to know. And that builds that trust, that adds value to them, and that shows them how it's kind of just fitting into your life. And you can post other people's testimonies too. Like, I mean, that's kind of sharing your own journey, but you can post other people's testimonies and people are reading them. Y'all, I find very few people will like them and comment on them when I post other people's testimonies. I'll get a couple, but not a whole lot. But man, do they see them, because when I reach out about something, especially if you know that somebody is struggling with something and you post a testimony about it, and then you reach out and you go, hey, Julie, I don't know if you saw my post or not, but it really just made me think of you because I know you've been struggling with that, hormone swing during menopause. It's been driving me crazy. Um, you know, pre-Plexus, and I found some stuff that has really helped me, and I really want to share that with you. Would you be open to, telling me what you think? If I sent you some information, would you look it over? That kind of thing. So you really want to be adding all of that stuff, and add a little tag in the beginning when you post a testimony. Not just like, well, Julie shared, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Holy cow. I remember feeling this way. I remember feeling just, the night sweats and the anxiety, and I was miserable and it was, yuck. I am so glad that that I found a better way. And I'm so excited for my friend Melanie that also found a better way. And then say, Melanie shares, and leave her testimony. Like, you want to give a little snippet at the beginning about how you relate and why that's something that you're putting on your wall, because that's part of your storefront, right? So it's got to relate to you. And the last thing is we are going to be adding new friends. And that's something that I talk to people a lot about. Wow, man, if you're always adding people, how are you always finding new people to bring into Plexus? Well, I'm adding friends all the time. And y'all, that doesn't mean that I'm necessarily just going into Facebook and only doing it there. It can be done that way. I like to do that in person. honestly, I still have a friend that I met. I'm gonna go with 5 years ago, I think. It's been a long time. I had that like lost those couple of COVID years, yeah. I think it was 5 years. I met her in the deli at Publix. It was at the grocery store. I'm in the deli. We were just chit-chatting because the wait was long. And because I was asking her questions and telling her how cute her kids are, and she started to tear up. She told me some of her stories. She'd been through some major trauma that caused her to move down here. And I was like, you know what? I will pray for you. I would love to keep in contact with you. Um, I've been there for her in many different ways. I actually did give her a pink drink that day. I said, this might not be much, but it might help you just kind of feel a little bit better today. Maybe a little extra energy if you want to try it. And she was like, oh my gosh, yes. She still hasn't joined Plexus. I'm still following up. One of these days it's going to work. But because I know that it would help her, I know she would feel so much better. But when you're getting out there and you're doing just random everyday things, strike up a conversation. I know it's tempting that we're all like in a line, right? And we're like, right? Like you're in the elevator and you're staring at your phone. You're in line at, whatever, at a restaurant and you're staring at your phone. Like people are so focused on that they forget to look up and look around. But all you have to do is say something simple like, oh my gosh, I love your top. That's so cute. Guess what? They're going to stop looking at their phone and they're going to probably talk to you. Sometimes they won't, but it's worth a shot. And a compliment's never going to make anybody feel bad, right? Because it's genuine. You're giving them a genuine compliment. Don't lie to them. But those are ways that you can talk to people when you're out and about, and it makes all the difference in the world. Find a way to connect with them on Facebook. Find a way to, I would love to meet you for coffee, whatever, I would love to just kind of get to know you a little bit better. Are you on social media? Super easy. And then when you've added them, they're looking right at the wall we talked about. They're going to go look at your wall and be like, oh, and that's where they're going to decide like, okay, do I actually want to accept her friend request on Facebook or, and they're going to make that decision based on what your wall looks like. So it's very important to have that welcoming boutique, personalized feel to it. You can join groups on Facebook also to add new friends. If you're in a group, there's groups for everything. Y'all, like, I'm in a Cavapoo owners group because I have a Cavapoo dog. And people are neurotic about their dogs, especially doodle parents. If you're one, you get it. Randy gets it. I know. But you can connect with people in there. Like maybe you're commenting, maybe you're saying, oh, well, I did this with my dog. Like I tend to comment in there when they're talking about hotspots on dogs because like, oh yeah, I did that. And then I found some really good stuff that helped with my dog, you're treating yeast, you're treating, you're helping, you're giving them some information. And then if you're posting in these groups and people are liking it or commenting on it, just send them a friend request. They're going to look at your wall and they're either going to accept it or not. And then you can start to connect with them that way. So like I said, that wall is kind of what's helping them make that decision. And that's why I included that as part of what's so important with all of this. So you're interacting on all of these things with intention. You're not just randomly scrolling and you're not just getting distracted and just commenting on all these things and like never following up, never doing anything. You have to interact with intention and know that you're going to be sending these people friend requests and you're going to see what's going on, right? Then you create lists in Facebook based on the people that you have maybe in your Franks list, maybe the people that you're, meeting in these groups or meeting in person. You want to have those lists set aside so you can have, Plexus people and you can have your team over there and your sidelines and whatever, and you can be commenting on stuff. But if we're not kind of separating that out, right, do you feel like maybe sometimes your feed gets clogged with like all Plexus people and then you're like, all I see are my other Plexus people and the only people commenting on my stuff are other Plexus people. Kind of like, okay, I've got to get out and find these other people because Facebook's like, oh, they really like each other. We're just going to show them all each other's stuff, right? And then you don't see anybody else's things. So Facebook will let you create a list and you can do a list of like your top people that you're talking to, your top prospects, maybe new friends, things like that, and just be interacting with them that way because they're going to see your stuff that way as well. So that kind of just helps you keep in contact and keep organized that way. Um, and then wishing your friends happy birthday, that kind of stuff. Like people love to be wished happy birthday. It's a great way to just connect with them. You can send messages in Messenger. You can send like a little video, make a kind of a generic like, "Hey, happy birthday! I'm so excited for you. Hope you have a great day. What kind of thing? I would love to hear what kind of fun things you have planned." And just make a little video, snap it or snippet, whatever that says that, and send it off to them. And then it's something that's very easy and simple to send out over and over again, right? So those are ways that you can be adding new friends. And I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, I did have the end there. Um, the last thing I wanted to just kind of cover really quick was the objections for yourself, right? Because recruiting is a head game for us because we tend to tell ourselves lies like, I don't have time, I don't know enough, I don't want to be pushy, right? Like those things run in our head. So we have to overcome those. If you're saying like, I don't have time, you can find ways to make time. First of all, you can say, that's not a priority for me. That hits a little different. Um, but there's habit stacking, there's time blocking. You can make a have to do list. You can have a 3 most important things list. Like there's so many things that you can do. And if you've had that thought, somebody else in Plexus has had that thought, and I guarantee you they made a video of it and it's on YouTube. So you can go there and you can be like, you know what? I need help with organization. I need help with time blocking. That sounds like a really good way for me to do this, but I don't know how to implement it. Go look on YouTube for time blocking videos. That'll help you figure it out. I don't know enough. That's a big, big one. I actually came into Plexus with a ton of gut health knowledge, but guess what? I didn't know anything about our products, really. I mean, I knew a little bit about ProBio, but that was it. And I'd never seen an all-in-one capsule before. But I didn't know about our products. And I didn't want to wait until I knew enough, right? Because our products change, the industry changes, knowledge changes. Like there's so much out there that if you wait to know enough, you're going to just kind of fall behind because you're going to get in that kind of overwhelmed shutdown because there's no way that you're ever going to know everything that's out there. But you also don't want to be the expert. Like I said, I knew a lot about gut health and I struggled with that a lot because I was very familiar with Candida die-off and everything. And I tended to be the expert. And then people would go, oh, that's like a lot of information. And then they would either feel overwhelmed and not want to start at all, or from the business side, they would be like, well, I can't do what you're doing. Or I've heard a lot of times, like, I can't eat the way that you're eating. I'm like, you don't have to eat the way that I'm eating. So keeping things simple helps you with feeling like you don't know enough. Keep it simple, use third-party things, use the videos, use the stuff in the Plexus Go app, things like that that will help you. And the I don't want to be pushy one is the other big objection. I think we've all had that thought where you're like, I don't want to be that girl, right? But I've given you some good ways. I hope I didn't say to do it earlier, but I hope you screenshotted some of those formulas and the verbiage to use. Again, if you're being genuine and you're keeping at the forefront of your mind that you want to help your friend, you're not going to be coming across as pushy. So that is a good thing to remember. You've got to overcome those things in your head when you're reaching out to people, because that's going to help you continue to take action. And most of those things will go away if you're taking action. That fear is just obliterated by taking action. And even if you don't do it right, whatever, it doesn't matter. You can't say you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, and you can't say the right thing to the wrong person, right? So find your people. They're out there. Whatever your story is, whatever you struggled with, like, find that person because she's out there and she's dealing with the same things that you were dealing with, and you can help. So just kind of remember all of those things. Focus on learning constantly, growing yourself, because that's going to help you have things to add value to your people, to your audience, and just keep the health and the wellness of others at the forefront, and you will always feel good about reaching out and helping them get started. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and see if I can catch up on my messages here. Y'all can feel free to unmute if you have a question. I'm just going to look and see. I like how you worded that, Kim. Recruiting is an area of opportunity for me. I like that. Yes, Jill, they don't care about an agenda. They care about a hidden agenda. People don't care if you want to ask them a pointed question, but if you're trying to hide things, like they know it and it feels icky, right? Let's see. Oh, that's awesome, Christy. She said she got stopped walking her dog the other day because he's so beautiful. He is. She said it, but he is. And she said, we started talking before I resumed my walk. I asked her, she's on Facebook, and she said yes. So I had to tell me her name, and I friend requested her right there, and she got home and accepted it. So that's perfect, Christy. That's exactly the way to do it when you're out in a conversation. You just chit chat, you connect, you're like, hey, are you on Facebook? Done. Awesome. Awesome. Yes, Randy, they do fear sharing when we're acting like the expert, because most people are not the expert at anything. That's why you are starting as a beginner. We're always a beginner every time we start, right? It's always new, it's always unfamiliar. So Marianne said, conquering fear a little more each day by taking action. Yes, ma'am. Very good. All right. That was all the comment things. Oh, Anne's in a golden retriever group. Sorry, I missed that one, Anne. Yes, I know. The dog groups are fun. Do y'all have any other questions or anything that you wanted me to go over again or repeat real quick?
No, that was great. Thanks, girl.
All right.
Thank you.